Hi everybody and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make a barbecue chicken and cornbread bake. To go alongside that, we're going to have some cheesy mashed potatoes, and for dessert we're going to have one of my favorite. I would say this is in the top 3, and it's Lemon Delight. I love it so much. Lemon Delight, lemon tart, some people call it different things. I love that, strawberry shortcakes, and then, as I call it, heaven on a plate, but it's banana spring rolls with coconut ice cream. So good. But today we're going to make Lemon Delight. To get started, I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I've got 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Now, these were pretty big, that I have cut into bite-sized pieces. You could use thighs if you wanted to. I'm just not a dark meat fan, but if you like the dark meat, you could use boneless, skinless thighs, would be fine. Any chicken will work. I've got a large skillet here. Now, I'm going to transfer mine into a baking sheet, but if you want to do a one-pan meal, then you can make sure that your skillet is oven proof, because you want it, it's going to go in the oven to bake. But this would be if I were to wrap this in aluminum foil, but I'm just going to transfer mine to a baking dish. Now, again, I've got my chicken here. I'm going to salt my chicken a little bit. This is just pink Himalaya salt, but you can use whatever you have. I use different salts here. I most of the time use kosher salt. I just want that to come up to a little bit of a simmer, and I'm going to get my chicken in there and let that start browning. My skillet is hot, as you can see. Get it in one layer. Now, my chicken is still partially frozen. I did take it out to thaw last night, but, it takes a while. But honestly, it's a little easier to cut. Any meat is a little easier to cut into bite-sized pieces if it is partially frozen. While that's working, let's go back over here, and we're going to chop an onion, just one medium onion, to add some flavor. Cut one end, leave the root end, and it's a little easier to cut. It stays together more. I have a trash can right here, just peeling off that outer layer. I love this recipe. I love chicken, I love barbecued chicken, and I love cornbread. And we're just going to kind of combine all those. This is a very economical dish. So if you want to make it, it's not expensive at all to make. And for me, it uses pantry staples that I have on hand all the time. I always have barbecue sauce. I typically always have some form of chicken in the freezer. And cornbread and things like that are pantry staples for most people. So this would be one of those dishes that you could make, without having to go to the grocery store. I'm trying to really stretch my trips to the store as long as I can anymore. I think we all are. So we're just going to chop this up into a fine dice. When you get down to that little root end, just go around it with your knife. I get asked all the time, get messages all the time about what kind of knives I use and all of that sort of stuff. This particular knife is a J.A. Hinkle's knife that I have had since I got married 27 years ago. 28 this coming year. So, it's one of those things that it's an investment in the beginning, but it lasts a lifetime if you take care of it. I really like from Victorinox, the Fibrox, the Fibrox handles of the Victorinox, which I use all the time, especially in my paring knives. I have a lot of these little paring knives. They're like $5, but they are the best little paring knives. So I like those. But the Fibrox handle is like this. This is one. This is the Victorinox Fibrux. This is a boning knife, but it has that little grip on the handle, so when your hands are wet, you're less likely to lose grip. Love those knives. They are not expensive at all in the knife world, and if you take care of it, it will last you a lifetime. Never, 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 never put your knives in the dishwasher. Hand wash them and dry them and put them up immediately. Keep them in a knife block or in your drawer in a protected knife case so that you don't, beat the blade against other things and dull it. Just turning my chicken here. Like many of us, I'm still dealing with the long-term coughing and throat issues, so forgive me for clearing my throat so much. It's just not going away. Heard so many people talking about that. All right, I just want to get that, simmering. I'm not looking to, cook it completely through because it is going to go in the oven. But I do want to get it most of the way cooked. I'm going to add my onion because I want to saute that onion. Stir that in. I use this little splatter guard when I remember because it really cuts down on that mess when you remember to use it. So let's make our cornbread mixture first. I have just a large bowl here. Now, if you have just a favorite cornbread recipe that you like, you can use it. A lot of, they sell those little boxes or the little pouches that are completely, ready to go. You can use those. I'm using 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups of cornmeal, about 1/2 cup of sugar, little bit of salt, little bit of baking powder. I'm going to whisk that together just to get those ingredients mixed. Okay. I have in this bowl 2 eggs and about 1.5 cups of milk. I've got a couple of tablespoons of melted butter, 1/2 cup of just regular canola or vegetable oil. You want to mix your wet ingredients together, and 2 eggs. I don't remember if I told you 2 eggs, but 2 eggs. All right. I like to mix it all together before I add it to my dry ingredients. Some people do, some people don't, up to you, but I like to do that better. And then just pour it into your dry ingredients and stir it all together. Get a little spoon. Okay, just stir it together. This is going to be our topping. If you wanted to add some cheese to it, you could. But I'm putting cheese in our potatoes, so I'm not going to do that today. But if you wanted to top this with some cheddar cheese, by all means, even better. And you want your batter to be a little bit on the runnier side because we're going to pour it over top of our chicken once we're ready. All right, let's check the chicken real quick. Needs just a minute more. I'm going to take a quick break, clean up. When I come back, we will finish the chicken and get it ready to go and get our cornbread topping on top of the chicken and get it in the oven. I'll be back in just a minute. our chicken is about probably 85% done. So I just took it out of my skillet and put it in my baking dish. If you were making this in your skillet and going to keep it in your skillet, and you've got an oven-proof handle that can go in the oven, just do this, all of this in the skillet. I'm going to add whatever your favorite barbecue sauce is. You want about 6-ish ounces. This is a big bottle, so I don't really need all of this. Let's see. You use however much you like. I love barbecue chicken. In the summertime, I like it on the grill with corn on the cob. Oh, so good. And roasted potatoes. I want it to have a little bit more sauce, so I'm going to add a tiny bit more. There we go. I'm using Sweet Baby Ray's, but you use whatever kind of barbecue sauce you like. Up to you. Then spread it out into like an even layer to where everybody that gets a serving is going to get some chicken. Just in a single layer. And then take your cornbread mixture and pour it over top. Let me get one of these little things. Okay. Alrighty. And then pour it over top of your chicken. I'm a lefty. I'm sorry, I got to do this. I'll try to keep it out of my hand out of your way. If you're a lefty, you know the frustrations. The world is designed for right-handed people. It really is. So there we go. Then you want to spread this out over top of your chicken. And then you want to pop it in a 350-degree oven about 30 minutes-ish until the cornbread is cooked through. You know, if the cornbread's baked through, the chicken's going to finish cooking in the oven. The reason I don't like to cook it completely done on the stovetop is because it's going to go in the oven. If it's already done before you put it in the oven, it's going to get overcooked and it's going to become dry. So I like to get it about 80%, 85 or so percent done, and then pop it into the oven. Let me wipe off this little edge there. And let's get this in the oven. 350 degrees. See if I can do it without burning myself. About the center, somewhere in there. Now, let's get started on, I'm going to go ahead and make dessert because this needs to chill for a little bit. This is one of those things that I just love. It's easy, it's simple, it's delicious, and you can make it with any flavor pudding that you like. I just happen to love anything lemon. Very first time I tasted this recipe was many years ago. A dear sweet friend of ours who's gone on to be with the Lord, Piney Mullins, she's the first one that introduced me to this, and I just went crazy over it. And through the years, I've adapted it to many different, I'm just using a store-bought graham cracker crust, and I keep the lid. If you can find the little mini graham cracker, there's usually 6 of them in a thing. You can use those. You could use a nut crust, which is traditionally, the very first time I ever had it, it was made with a nut crust. But this is easier, this is simple. So that's what I'm going to do. I have here just some cream cheese that has come to room temperature. And I have 1 container of thawed Cool Whip. Let me get I'm going to put, maybe a third of that. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, into that bowl. And I'm going to mix those 2 things together. If you want to add some vanilla, you can. A lot of people put powdered sugar in it at this point, but I think that makes it too sweet. I don't like it quite that sweet. This is one of those dishes that, if I can get this plugged in without kicking my breaker, this is one of those dishes, well, what is going on here? There we go. That I love for breakfast with a cup of coffee. Oh, so good. But you just want to mix those together. You want to make sure your cream cheese is at room temperature. Cream that all together. I could just eat this. It's so good. Sometimes I add vanilla, sometimes I don't. If you have it, add it. If you don't, don't. Up to you. You just want to incorporate all those things together. There's no need to wash those beaters because this is going in the same thing. We're going to use those in just a second. Then take this mixture, put it in the bottom of your crust. Now be delicate with this because this is a graham cracker crust and it will crumble, so you gotta be careful with it. Just kind of put some around and then we're gonna smooth it. This makes a great dip, by the way. Add a little bit of vanilla or any other kind of flavoring you like to this mixture, and it makes a great dip for fruit or for graham crackers or anything like that. It's really good. Let's put this right here for a moment. Let's take our little offset spatula or a butter knife, whatever you have, and just smooth that out all over. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to use this for this. Then you want to take, I don't like to use the full 2 cups that the recipe calls for, the box calls for. This is just an instant lemon pudding. I usually use sugar-free, but I can't find the sugar-free anymore in the lemon. So this is just regular. This is lemon, but you could do this with chocolate. You could do it with pistachio, with vanilla, with coconut cream, whatever kind of pudding you like, you can do right here at this layer. The recipe will be the same. And just mix it up. I don't wash the beaters because, I mean, this is going on top of that, so what's the point? Just mix it till it's thoroughly combined. And I like to give it about a minute or so, and then it'll thicken up and it'll be ready to go. So we won't use that since I had it in the cornbread. Let me get a new one. I have a little drawer. I get asked these kinds of questions. I guess I need to do a behind the scenes tour back here. I have a little drawer here that has little cups that you can put your utensils in. Really handy to have in a kitchen if you don't like stuff sitting out on the counters. Totally up to you on that one. Let it set for just a second. I am going to get a little bit of that off because I am going to use this again. See, it just thickens up real easy. And then just kind of pour that over top. If you want a little thicker pudding layer, you can use 2 boxes. Completely up to you. I use about 1 3/4 cups of the milk. I don't use the full 2 cups. I like it to be just a tiny bit thicker than the 2 cups make it. That'll be a good licking bowl here in a few minutes. Just spread that over top of your cream cheese mixture. And then take the rest of the Cool Whip and put it on top of the pudding. So good. And then spread that around, and that's it. It needs to sit in the refrigerator it's better if it sits for a couple of hours. I mean, you can eat it right now, but it is better if you let it sit for just a couple of hours. If you want to, you can crush up some pecans and put them on top just to make it a little more decorative, and I think I will. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm just going to put these on top, get this in the refrigerator, and when I come back, we will make our cheesy mashed potatoes. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, now our chicken is done. I just took it out of the oven. It's very, very hot. The way that you can tell if your cornbread is done is insert a toothpick in various places, and if it comes out clean with, no liquid on there, you know it's done. And it just needs to set for a few minutes before you cut into it. Let it kind of firm up and a little bit of the heat dissipate. Otherwise, it's just going to fall apart. We're going to make some cheesy mashed potatoes to go on the side. But we're going to cheat. We're going to use instant potatoes because this is something that I think a lot of people have on hand. They're inexpensive. This particular, the Idaho and Baby Reds are my favorite. If you really, if you sort of doctor these up a little bit, as they call it, they're delicious. So the package calls for water. I like to use milk. So I'm doing 2 packages. So I've got, one package calls for 2 cups of water, but I'm using 3 cups of milk and 1 cup of water. And I've got it on my stove coming to a boil. Then I have here just some shredded cheddar cheese. You can use whatever kind of cheese you want. If you want to use the white cheddar, that's fine. You want a little bit of heat to it, you could use pepper jack, you could use Monterey, you could use any kind that you wanted. Colby is delicious in this. And then I have some bacon. If you don't want to use bacon, you don't have to, but I like to garnish it with a little bit of bacon because to me everything tastes better with bacon. If you find yourself with some leftover bacon, which in my home never happens, but I know in some houses it does, you could use your leftover bacon. You could use the bacon bits that you buy in the store if you want to use bacon at all, or you could leave it off. That's completely up to you. But what you want to do is bring the milk up to a really good simmer to where it's hot. You don't want to boil it because it'll stick, and it's dairy. And then you want to add 2 packages. See, that's good enough. You want to add 2 packages of just your instant potatoes. They smell good. This is a great thing to have in your pantry as a long-term storage. Let it kind of set for a few minutes. Stir in your cheese. Cover it, but just let it go for just a minute. I'm going to add a little butter because I think you need butter in mashed potatoes. You do what you like. I'm going to add just a couple of knobs of butter. I'm actually just going to cover this and let it set for just a couple of minutes while we get our pie out of the oven. Remember earlier on we made the lemon delight? I can't wait to eat this. Now, what I did was I had some pecans, and I just had them in a baggie. I took my rolling pin right here, and I just literally hit them in the bag to crush them up. You can use a meat mallet, whatever you have. And I just take the pan, it comes like this. If you flip that over, that makes the perfect little cover for your pie. And there's a lemon delight, and I cannot wait. I mean, that's probably what I'm going to eat first, truthfully, and it just needs a cup of coffee, and you're good. Let's check on our potatoes. They're coming along. Look at that, how good that looks. Stir that cheese in there. I like to garnish my potatoes with the bacon. but you can stir it in if that's what you want to do. It's completely up to you. I'm just going to put mine in a little serving dish and then do that. But here is our chicken cornbread bake. I use chicken breasts. You could use thighs if that's what you want. Saute that with a little onion and your favorite barbecue sauce, whatever you like. Mix up a cornbread batter, put it on top, pop it in the oven. The key to this dish is please don't overcook your chicken initially on the stove, because if you do, you're going to have dry, and nobody likes dry chicken. So cook it to about 85% done, and then finish baking. When it's baking in the oven, the chicken will finish cooking. This is Lemon Delight, which you could make with any flavor instant pudding that you like. I just chose lemon because that's my favorite, and that is wonderful for breakfast the next day. Now, look at our potatoes, how they just thickened up, and they are yummy. I am going to add a little bit of salt because I forgot to add it to the mixture. I would normally have put that in my skillet, but I forgot, or in my pan, but I forgot to. So I'm going to add some salt and some pepper, because in my world, you got to have pepper. And I'm going to just stir that in. It's better if you add it in the skillet, a little easier, or the pot, a little easier. That's okay. It's okay. Oh, those are so good. And then I'm going to top it with my bacon that I just cooked up beforehand. If you have leftover bacon, you can use that. I never have leftover bacon, not at my house. But there you go. There's a quick and easy meal for you any day of the week. Our barbecued chicken and cornbread bake, our Lemon Delight, and our cheesy instant mashed potatoes. Thank you for joining with me, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.